We are live.
May I start?
Please, ma'am.
I can't see my screen though. Alt tab. I can only see SSBBMM.
You are going. You are hotspot. You are on hotspot, ma'am. You please continue. We are seeing you.
Can I continue?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Om Shri Sai Ram. I offer my loving pranams at the lotus feet of the power that fires Sri Sathya Sai Vidya Vahini and his dedicated volunteers. And I think as a result of the goodwill, the good intentions, the pure hearts, the burning desire to serve our wonderful nation, the team Sri Sathya Sai Vidya Vahini is having a very special and blessed moment right now. And it is my singular honor to introduce a very special guest this afternoon, Dr. Amarendra P. Behera, Joint Director, Central Institute of Educational Technology, popularly known as CIET, at the National Council of Educational Research and Training, which is the NCERT, the premium institution policy making think tank, which deals with all matters related to education for the Government of India. Dr. Behera is a very well-known name around Puttaparthi and in this part of Prashantinilayam Ashram. And surprisingly, I have yet to have the pleasure to meet him in person, and I think vice versa. And we have connected so frequently and done some historic work together. Dr. Amarendra P. Behera happens to be the signatory of the two historic memorandums of understanding or MOUs that our parent body, the Sri Sathya Sai Central Trust, has signed with CIET and NCERT. And these have enabled us to serve the nation and its teachers on a larger platform. And the instrument of God chosen for this from the Government of India happens to be Dr. Amarendra Behera, who is a person of an illustrious academic and professional profile. He happens to be a perfect balance of knowledge, wisdom, and vision. Coupled with his humility and accessibility, he is our dream brother in the government, because it is not easy, Dr. Behera, for us to break through the layers of bureaucracy. But thank you for being who you are. You've been a great support to Vidya Vahini. By way of introduction and some background, I'd like to share with the people present here that Dr. Behera holds a Bachelor of Arts with Education Honors from BJB College in Bhubaneswar. And this college is affiliated to Utkal University, and he completed his bachelor's degree in 1989. In 1991, he went on to pursue MA in Education from Punjab University in Chandigarh, where he stood first and won the gold medal for academic excellence. He also has a Master's of Philosophy in Education from Kurukshetra University, 1992, and 1998 he got his doctorate of philosophy, and his research theme was very interesting: effect of radio intervention program on the language and cognitive development of preschool children. And please bear in mind, this was in 1998. So he was already studying the impact of technological intervention in the growth and cognitive development of children. And in his career, he's had a very illustrious career, being a professor, a lecturer, and now a decision and policy maker with the NCERT, CIET. And he has held a number of very impressive positions. And being the authority on behalf of the Government of India at NCERT, when I approached the government just simply by following the email IDs on the websites, Dr. Behera was the person who gave us a chance to present, at least listen to what we had to offer. And he facilitated these MOUs, which allowed us to have access to a national platform. All the good work that the volunteers of Vidya Vahini do is now available to the teachers of this nation. And I just can't say enough about the significant role and the interventions that we have had from a very busy person known as Dr. Amarendra Behera, Actually, I would like to nominate him if anybody's listening out there as the most hardworking government official. He's working in the morning, he's working all day and late at night. Usually he has his lunch when most of us are about to go to bed. That is how hard he works and that is how skewed his schedule is. So, brother, Dr. Behera, what an honor it is to welcome you to Vidya Vahini. Thank you for taking the time, and we are eagerly listening, waiting to listen to you and to learn from you. Over to Dr. Behera.
Thank you very much indeed, Professor Karuna Munshi ji. Karuna Didi, I used to call. And again, thanks to the Satya Sai Vidya Vahini team for continuous collaboration with CIET and NCERT, due to which we could put many of the e-contents on the Diksha portal, and also Satya Sai Vidya Vahini is working with several states across the country for dissemination of e-content. I hope there is someone supreme, due to his will and blessings, we have been able to do this, and none other than Satya Sai Baba, because in our part, eastern part, we say in that way in Odisha. So maybe sometime I will get an opportunity to visit the place, and it will be my pleasure. And I am really thankful to the kind words to Karuna Didi, and really I feel humbled. And if I come back to the theme, I have come to know that there are some techies and academia who are undergoing this 3 days rigorous workshop on multimedia designing, multimedia content designing. So I'll be broadly pitching my interaction in that particular direction. I have a short presentation, so I would seek permission of the organizer to share the slide so that I can start. Can you see my slides?
Yes, it is visible, sir. You can go on presentation.
Full screen. Is it in presentation mode now?
Yeah, perfectly, sir.
Okay. And I was told to give my interaction this topic, role of multimedia, particularly NEP 2020, and role of multimedia, especially in the context of teaching, learning, and assessment. So therefore, I thought that I should pitch my words in that way, and we'll have interaction. I think I have around 30 minutes time, or how much time I can take?
Yeah, we have 1 hour schedule, sir, for you.
Okay,
so if you want, we can
1 hour.
Extend.
Oh, great, great. So I can stretch up to 4:40. Okay, okay, fine. First of all, I must mention that the National Education Policy 2020 has come up after almost 34 years of the policy. First, the previous policy, which was there released by the CABE, Central Advisory Board of Education, in 1986, and again it was revised in 1992. The policy and the program of action was revised. But after 1986, this is the policy which has come after 34 years. And we know that there are many changes, not only geographical, even demographic changes, and even family structure and pattern changes. And one more major change is technology. So because it was not so much before that, because during 86 policy, though we had started using satellite network, but not in such a big way, and particularly the internet connectivity and smartphones particularly. So we have gone ahead, and so technological development is another key after 34 years where we are and how we have to take it further. So in that particular case, policy direction is very crucial. All of us, we know that there are around 7 to 10 major areas the policy. Can you see the second slide?
Yes, sir. Yes.
So the policy has given around 10 major recommendation as far as the use and integration of technology and digital education is concerned. And if I mention, the policy has dedicated 2 chapters. Chapter number 23 use of technology, use and integration of technology, and chapter number 24, digital education. So a policy dedicating 2 chapters itself says a lot about the use and integration of technology and digital education. If I recall, the 1986 policy had given a para on the technology, educational technology part, and there was around a couple of pages, 2-3 pages in the program of action, both 1986 and 92 revised program of action. There was writing about the educational technology aspect. But this policy has very categorically given 2 dedicated chapters, which shows the policy's vision to use and integrate technology for various purposes. And the policy itself says that India is second to none as far as technology use is concerned. It is fast in a way. So because if you recall our space sector, our Indian Space Research Organization, even our this climate forecast and all that sector also. So again, they are also using satellite connectivity. Nonetheless, the education sector also, but the space sector is over emphasizing on use of technology, and the policy has also mentioned that the relationship between education and technology is bidirectional. So in that particular case, policy has very emphatically mentioned its use. And also the policy has reiterated the commitment of Digital India campaign 2025, 2015, where the Digital India campaign talked about having basic digital infrastructure across the departments and ministries and places, and delivery of services through portals and apps, and digital literacy of citizens, including the teachers, teacher educators, even all other stakeholders, so that technological change and implementation happen. So policy again has mentioned about providing digital infrastructure across the places, whether it is school, whether it is post office, whether it is panchayat house, whether it is Anganwadi center, whether it is agricultural appliances at block level, cluster level, district level, and the use in even prediction of climate and seasons. So that way, and in space sector also, everywhere. So basic minimum infrastructure, IT infrastructure is required, whether hardware, software, systems. So that is very crucial. And the second one is because we have to deliver some resources through some medium. So in that case, portals and apps are mediums through which we disseminate. So it could be content management systems and learning management systems, mobile apps and web applications also, and web tools also. There are many web tools using which subject specific contents can be developed. Like you might have heard about GeoGebra, using which geometry and algebra applications can be developed, and already existing resources can be used. Even similarly for physics principles, we can use PhET simulation of Colorado University. And similarly, there are many applications like Calgium for chemistry, Stellarium for astrology, astronomy, even celestial bodies if we are studying. So even there are many concept mapping tools also, mind mapping tools, where subject specific concept maps. We can suppose water as a concept, air as a concept, shelter as a concept. So how we can inbuilt a concept map around the concept with cause effect relationship, so that it can be understood by students in a better manner. And also the concept maps could be introduced as an introductory resource, or at an applicable application level also, where assessment and evaluation is also possible. So therefore, portals, apps, and web tools and web applications are very much essential. That is why the policy has mentioned. Then coming to digital resources, audios, videos, interactives, multimedias, we are talking and even augmented reality, virtual reality based content, virtual labs, because all of us, we know that now dissection of frogs are banned in our classroom. So in that case, can we have a virtual dissection till children get a dead frog to dissect and understand the biological different body parts of a frog? And similarly also, by the time children they get a human body, the medical students, dead human body stored in the hospital for particularly postmortem purposes, and seeing that internal body parts, can they have a virtual postmortem also? Similarly, we in lifetime, nobody knows how many of us can visit to cellular jail in Andaman Nicobar Island, where Veer Savarkarji and many other freedom fighters, they were imprisoned in cellular jail in Port Blair. So popularly that time known as Kalapani, because Britishers were putting Indians with rigorous imprisonment there. So we don't know how many of us in our lifetime can get a chance to travel 2,500 kilometers from the mainland and visit to Andaman Nicobar Islands and see the cellular jail. Even we might have studied about the volcanic eruption. So live volcanoes. So live volcanoes, it is virtually a dream to see a live volcano. But in Andaman Nicobar Island, there is a mud volcano which is live. So till we get that, can we see a virtual volcanic eruption and see the different parts and what is lava and what is the different crust of a volcanic site. So therefore, variety of digital resources helps us to concretize the concepts children learn, and the teacher would like to interact with the students. So therefore, digital resources are key, because knowing that how it can be searched and what are the force tools also, free and open source softwares also, and keeping in view the different licensing available, including the Creative Commons license and interactive and IPR, intellectual property rights, because we must know that while using or downloading and using a content or reusing a content, whether we are violating any intellectual property right or not. So that is also very crucial. So the policy has endorsed that, and telecast and broadcast. Actually, the policy has, while talking about having a equitable quality education and lifelong learning and holistic education by every child, the policy talks about making not only that the young generation, they master the 21st century skills and SDG goals we achieve, sustainable development goals. And while talking about this 21st century skills, communication, cooperation, collaboration, critical thinking, creative thinking, and problem solving. All these 6 parameters are taken into consideration. However, the NEP 2020 had added one parameter, another parameter called, we have to make every learner a resilient learner, whether it is pandemic situation, epidemic situation, disaster situation, whatever it may be. So how it can be made resilient. Similarly, education system and delivery mechanism becoming resilient, robust, so that even if it is earthquake is there, and even if it is cyclonic storms are there, and even if there are landslides also, and there are floods also, so in those conditions also the learning, teaching, and communication should not stop. So telecast, broadcast, satellite communication, internet communication, so needs to be taken together, so that in a resilient way and in a coherent way, simultaneously using many platforms, we can develop resources and disseminate also, like NCERT did the resources on Diksha platform, which are nearly 3 lakhs, and even Satyasai Vidyavahini contents are also available on Diksha in many languages, Indian languages, and those contents can be accessed not only through Diksha portal and app, those can also be available through 12 PME Vidya DTH TV channels. There are 400 plus radio stations across the country, so that we reach out to every stakeholder in a time-bound manner. And coming to the next part, that e-governance, also the policy has emphasized that the educational administration should use educational technology so that the big data we have in India, like we have nearly 900 plus Indian universities, we have 1.3 billion population, 130 plus crore population in the country. Student alone in our country are 33 crore and 26 crore alone are in students are in schools in 15 lakh schools, and there are nearly 85 lakh teachers in schools, and nearly the remaining 15 lakh to 16 lakh teachers are in higher education, set up with 50,000 colleges also across the country, and there are nearly 15,000 teacher education institutions in the country. So scalability in India itself, the population and the demography itself is a challenge and an opportunity as well for all of us to work together. So therefore, how e-governance, the government machinery and the NGO and all sectors, they could be using artificial intelligence, robotics and machine learning, because linguistically also India is very diverse. We have more than 1700 languages across the country. Our population people, they speak, and there are 5 distinct language families starting from Aryan, Dravidian, Austroasiatic, Tibeto-Burman, Andamanese. These language families, they 5 language families, they live together and learn from each other also. So how technology can help us governance and management, including translation, transcription and delivery of content in Indian languages. So that is also $1 million question, and the policy has recommended for that. And the policy talks about online assessment and examination. It talks about registration, starting from registration, enrollment, to learning, to teaching, and to assessment, to having DigiLockers for all the certificates, credit transfers and certification also possible simultaneously using digital modes. So particularly digital portfolios and digital rubrics helping criterion and norm reference tests, and digital portfolios helping having children's portfolio. The policy has endorsed this, and even the policy has gone ahead in talking about using technology for self-paced learning, like personalized adaptive learning, PAL, popularly known as. That is also mentioned. And if I talk about the next point at the right side top, building digital competencies of students, because if students have to use the digital resources across their curriculum from nursery to tertiary, from nursery to PhD or postdoc, then they need to develop digital competencies, and at the right place, right time, including the policy has talked about introducing coding and programming from class 6 onwards. Though in many other countries like Korea, Japan, Vietnam, Singapore, the coding is introduced at nursery level indirectly or directly through different art forms. So like children, while drawing patterns and drawing butterfly, so drawing flowers and different patterns, they zero down to logical thinking and sequential thinking, and indirectly or directly linking it to coding. And also while they are making different geometrical shapes while using GeoGebra application, so how they can derive to coding. That is also mentioned. So it is not that only digital competency of students, we need to develop capacity of the teachers and teacher educators as well. And I must mention that the policy has emphatically mentioned that every teacher educator and every heads of the school and different organizations, they should get annual 50 hours mandatory training in face-to-face, blended or online mode. So therefore, continuous capacity building of teachers, teacher educators and school heads and heads of different institutions, organizations, universities and national level, state level bodies. So that needs also to happen. And also the policy mentions that the content is there, pedagogy is also there. Pedagogy is the art and science of teaching young children. Similarly, if we are teaching adults, so we use andragogy. So art and science of teaching adults. So the policy re-emphasizes that the content, pedagogy and technology integration need to happen, so that in a way the policy direction that there should be no hard separation and boundaries among different discrete boundaries across subject disciplines, so which needs to be bridged. So only technology, pedagogy, and content integration can reduce that, because if children, they are learning about food, shelter, clothing, air, or water, so directly or indirectly they can link it to everything. While talking about water, they can link to history, why on the riverbeds civilizations were started. So even how water is used, even nowadays water is also used for generation of electricity, and also many other things. Water is used even for transportation and all. How from the same concept, content, pedagogy, and technology integration can happen, and a holistic perspective of the content in an enjoyable manner and joyful manner can happen. It is the policy direction. And the last 2 points I would like to bring before you, that laying down standards. The policy mentions that for everything we need to have standards operations to go ahead, because there need to be guidelines under which SOPs, like all of us, we know during the COVID pandemic time, there were several rounds of SOPs distributed across the country, how we should behave in our way, and how we should use masks, how should we use sanitizer, and why should not we shake hand with someone, why should we say namaste to from a distance, not touching to a person. So there were many SOPs, standard operating procedure, disseminated. So similarly, also in education field, while talking about technology, we should have standards for digital education. And like UGC has issued a guideline for blended learning. Even the Ministry of Education, after the implementation of policy in collaboration with Ministry of Electronics and IT, has come out with a NDR document, National Digital Education Architecture document, under which it talks about 12 different categories and 36 different building blocks, from registry to certification to credit transfer to DigiLocker, and also teachers transfer, posting, awards, scholarship, pensions. So how everything can be brought in at one umbrella, so that the many work we do manually could be reduced, and teachers can get more time for teaching, learning, and assessment, rather doing manual work and managing many things manually and taking a lot of time. So therefore, it is not only cyber safety and security. Even we had a Pragyanta guideline for digital education during the COVID pandemic time, even alternative academic calendar during COVID pandemic times as standards for that. Even we had health and well-being standards. We had a Manodarpan guidance and counseling service across the country through interactive voice response system called Manodarpan. And those standards were set, and 300 plus counselors across the country, they helped to counsel the students and children who lost their close family members and relatives, and they were in shock due to the COVID pandemic situation and trauma, and they helped them to come out from the traumatic situations, and how mental health balance can be maintained. Last not least, the policy talks about intensive research in educational technology, and there are also two different structures the policy has mentioned. One is the National Research Foundation, NRF, the policy has talked about, and also the policy has talked about National Educational Technology Forum. And the National Education Technology Forum could be a think tank body who can pilot on different technology use cases, and sensitize the state government, central government, and the local bodies and schools and other stakeholders on best use of technology, and scaling it up for the whole country at later on. Like Satya Sai Foundation, initially when we worked, the contents were put on central portal in English and Hindi, but keeping in view the need from different states, Satya Sai Foundation worked, Vidya Vahini worked towards developing content for other states also. More than I hope more than 6 different 7 languages. Satya Sai Vidya Vahini is developing content and providing to different stakeholders for their use. So and that too based on the research, and because all of us, we know that the researchers say children best learn at early age when everything is taught to them in their own mother tongue, local language, or the regional language where they are acquainted in a better manner, because English for all of us is not a language where we studied and it was there in our surrounding, or our parents or our relatives they were speaking. It was not, because I remember we studied our English alphabets from class 4 onwards. So in Odisha now almost all the states they have introduced English from class 1. So but the lingua franca, medium of instruction, needs to be in child's own mother tongue, because it is their constitutional right also to learn, because the researchers has proved that if the children they are learning in their own mother tongue, their learning outcomes are better. So and they can also pick up all other languages at ease by using the native language learning principle, the mother tongue learning principle as well. I will stop here as far as the policy directions are concerned. And now, since this workshop is concentrating mostly on development of multimedia programs, so how as an institution at CIET we have been working and developing e-contents, a variety of e-contents starting from audios, videos, interactives, and so on. And what are the things we use, methods we use for that. So these are the different variety of content, some of that we have mentioned. So these are mainly digital, digitizable content, image, graphics, visuals, text, rich internet applications could be possible, like games also, journals, digital journals, databases also. We can have data on different things, and also big data management it could be, and analytics also could be one, and the presentations also in many ways and many forms, and audios, videos, simulations, animation, interactives, ebooks, and there could be different forms of ebooks also, like PDF could be one form, flipbook could be one form, and the other form could be EPUB. Electronic publications, EPUBs help us to particularly enable the visually challenged learners to read the EPUB using a TTS, text to speech app, so that the text itself will read for a visually challenged child. Even a child who is tired and cannot read more text, so can order the chapter that the book, and through the app say that you read for me. Even the Google Assistant also could be used, because NCERT has also enabled the primary class textbooks put on Google Assistant, like Alexa. You order Alexa, please play a song of Pankaj Udas for me. Chitti aayi hai, chitti aayi hai. So maybe or some other song, and the Alexa plays it for you. Similarly, also Google Assistant can play a class 1 textbook of Rimjim or Marigold for you, and if you have read it already, the application has read it for you, it will ask you, last time also you read the same text, would you like to read the same chapter, or you want to read something else? So that is also there. And there are immersive contents also, like augmented reality and virtual reality content, where we ourselves as human beings are immersed, submerged, merged in the content while seeing. And also it can be integrated to different concepts in the books as immersive content with the different concepts. And also there could be virtual labs also, virtual, while talking about virtual. Recently NCERT in collaboration with SIDAC Mumbai and Amrita Vishwavidyapeetham Kochi, we launched 200 plus virtual lab content for the whole country children, those who are studying from class 9 to 12 and studying different science and mathematical concepts, and it is integrated to books. And last but not least is energized textbooks, the printed books energized for all of you. Like in our country, we have more than 60 school boards across the country. NCERT alone, we print 377 textbooks from class 1 to 12. And these books are energized in the form, every chapter is having a QR code, and the main book is also having the inner cover page a QR code. So all the contents, audios, videos, interactive simulations, AR, VR, virtual labs are also integrated. Even assessment sheets are integrated with that QR code, so that a child can scan the code and get the resources then and there. So these are some of the variety of contents we have, and now there could be many more also. Some of these are listed here. Can you see the next slide? It is the instructional design we follow for ourselves. Can you see?
Yes, sir. Yes, it is.
Okay. So actually, as an institute, we particularly use ADDIE, ADDIE, as an instructional design. There are hundreds of instructional design models. You could have read a Dick and Carey model. So maybe Kilpatrick model, or maybe any other instructional design model. And ADDIE is a very popular model in the sense it is a generic model. So which has come out based on several use cases, and most of the institutions and the educational setup, they use ADDIE as an instructional design model for developing digital contents. Similarly, in CIET, NCERT also we follow that, and the ADDIE, popularly known as, which is a generic instructional design model or strategy, you can say. And we follow and at the analysis stage we do need analysis and the context analysis and the learner analysis and the content analysis. Actually, why it is required? Because we must know that okay, there is a need for development of multimedia or not. Suppose different parts of a plant. So different, you can take a pot to the classroom, or a flower pot to the classroom, or to a plant, any other plant giving fruits. Even there are bonsai plants also. You can small dwarf plants having flower, fruit, and all others. So you can see from there also. So similarly, we have a need analysis. First of all, do we need such content for children? Suppose I mentioned about the different parts of a plant. Similarly, we would like to talk about the different external body parts of human beings or animals. So we need a digital content for that? So maybe while showing showing yak, or while showing the endangered species like Australian panda, so maybe kangaroo in India, so it is not found. Maybe some of the zoos in India, they must be having. So in that case, while the nursery kids, they know about different animals, do we require such content to be developed, or rather than we take them for a study tour and show them, and from a picture you tell them that this is the animal and this is the picture of this animal, characteristics of this animal, and this is domesticated, this is maybe not domesticated, wild, and so on. So therefore, there is a need that we analyze the need of the learner, and then the context also. So like I mentioned, Australian panda usually is not found in India, except some zoos, and maybe Chidiaghar we may find. And so we need to see that in our context, do we require that? So suppose we want to teach them about a plant, maybe an apple plant. So apple plant may not be found in Odisha or in Andhra Pradesh. So certainly in Trans-Himalayan belt, including Himachal Pradesh, Jammu and Kashmir, even many other states in Himalayan belt, Uttarakhand. So maybe you will find apple orchards there. So therefore, to show them this, we may require some visuals, but otherwise there are many, like for cow. So we don't require a digital content or a virtual lab content on cow to teach children. So therefore, the need analysis of the learner, content analysis, context analysis from where the learner is belonging to. So like houseboats. So houseboats are very popular in Kerala and J&K, Jammu and Kashmir, Dal Lake. So there are houseboats people use there. But Uttarakhand, there are no houseboats, because all rivers are hilly rivers. By the time you leave any boat in the river, so next minute it is destroyed because the speed is so much, the current is so much. So therefore, so the learner analysis is also required. that we are developing content for a pre-primary kid, for a primary kid, or for a kid who is from any other different stage. And content analysis I have directly or indirectly mentioned also, but here content, while analyzing the content, we decide the coverage also, boundary of the content also, how much to be taken. Suppose there would be 1 minute or 2 minute animation, so for that how much is to be given. So we have to show photosynthesis. Definitely photosynthesis cannot be seen in a naked eye. So for that we require virtual reality content on multimedia or 3D 2D animations, so that how the lips get sunshine, and also the roots they get water, and then they develop food for them and they grow. So even we cannot see a plant growing up and a flower blossom, a bird blossoming into flower. It is very difficult to see. So if we have to show that, we have to fix a camera, or we have to have a animation to show that. So that if we fix a camera, even the life cycle of a bird, so from egg to bird or bird to egg. So if we have to show, we have to fix a camera somewhere near the nest of the bird, and starting from the preparing the nest, and even hitting the egg till it hatches and a chick comes out. So the whole process needs to be documented. So for that we need to have. So therefore, need analysis, content analysis, context analysis, learner analysis, and content analysis is very crucial at the analysis stage, so that we decide that what is to be developed, for whom to be developed, what how much to be developed, and what are the mediums to be used for that. Then coming to the design part, and in the design stage we have instructional strategy design, like whether it is presented in what format. So that is also required, and visual design also is required visually, because when we are preparing for videos or multimedia, it is a medium of close-ups. So children would like to see the very close-ups of different demonstrations given to them. So technical design also, what are the technical designs required for any particular program? So suppose we have to show a pinhole camera, not a big hole. So a pinhole camera has to be technically designed that way, so that it even while pricking on a piece of paper also to show the pinhole camera effect. So we have to be very careful. So therefore, the technical design part and the technical equipment which we are using for designing this has also to be seen as well. And the prototype testing, and actually as the design level, suppose there is a program on say Earth. If we have a series of 10 programs on Earth, then the first program at least should be tried out, so that the strategy we followed in the program, whether demonstration, drama, documentary, or any other format, or storytelling, or any other format we followed there. Even the technical design we followed, even the content delivery we planned, the content coverage we planned, we need to have a prototype testing there also. Then at the development level, storyboarding is also done for production purposes, because scripts are written. Once the script are written, then if it is a video script, the camera script has to be written. So how many cameras to be used? 1 camera, 2 camera, or 3 camera, or 4 camera. Even many a times we use 5 cameras. Suppose Kuchipudi, Bharatanatyam, or Odissi dance series, so we have to use more than 3 cameras sometimes also. Sometimes math teacher teaching a particular class, giving a demonstration, and would like to write on the table also. So we may have to hang a camera from the rooftop. So therefore, we need to have a storyboard saying that what shot, how it is to be taken, which one will be close up, which one will be long shot, which one will be medium shot, which one will be a big close up, so a medium close up. And so all that needs to be described, and the production has to be done. And after the program is produced and the post-production is done, editing is done, and if the background chroma in blue or green screen has been done, the background can be changed at the post-production level. Then at the institutional level, we have preview in our institute every Tuesday and every Friday. We have weekly preview. So meeting for all of us, whatever program we produce in that week, Tuesday and Friday. So we preview that and analyze that. It is a virtual postmortem by all of us, where a cameraman, a multimedia designer, a graphic artist, a story script writer, an academic person, professor, or a producer, a production assistant, a camera assistant, even many other, a makeup artist, even sound recordist, and a musician. So all people, those who are involved in an institutional level, they come for the preview and they have a virtual postmortem of the program. And then the metadata profile is prepared. Metadata means data about data, because before sending it to library or for delivery purposes through broadcast, telecast, or for webcast, for broadcast or podcast. So for that we require metadata sheet, so that while you search using Google, so if you click that okay, Sai Baba Ashram Puttaparthi, so you can get some search results. So metadata is also required. Metadata means data about data. So suppose it is a program on cellular jail in Andaman Nicobar Islands, so we have to provide some keywords also, like Kalapani keyword also could be provided. So like freedom struggle keyword could be used, even Veer Savarkar keyword could be used. So while clicking on these words, we can get also that. So what are the keywords to be used, that has to be decided. And metadata, the age group, the class, the subject, the content. So all related data needs to be collated and provided. Then the delivery strategy. Delivery strategy means whether it will be telecast, broadcast, podcast, or through webcast, or through internet radio, like podcast, and or the portal like Diksha, ePathshala, or any other application. And the process document needs to be there, so that a backup should be kept in the library for storage, so that if any data is lost or deleted from any platform, so a backup from the backup it can be taken. And then the fourth stage is implementation stage. And at the implementation stage, we see that in the field it is used at school level, at diet level, at BEd college level, at CT, IAC level, at SCERT level, or at NCERT level, whoever is the stakeholder. So testing is done. And if based on the testing, if there are any changes to be made, so it can be done and complied. And then certification, that okay, if we are implementing this, and this way it will be certified. So that mechanism can be decided, that okay, it can be launched in the form of a course, in the form of a MOOC. There could be a MOOC course designed also using multimedia material. So then we can plan for certification as well and implement it for certification purposes, both the program certification and if the program is rollout certification for the stakeholders also. And the last but not least is evaluate. So the evaluation process again comes in, and it is mainly to get feedback in the system after implementation, and it is a mechanism for getting feedback and for modeling, remodeling, and developing quality contents that is done. So when it is implemented in the field, this feedback mechanism helps us for that. So there could be impact studies conducted, that could be big surveys also, there could be experimental studies conducted, that how children are learning from virtual labs, whether the scientific concepts, demonstrations, they are understanding better or not. Similarly also, many a times we know that for driving also we use many simulators before going for driving training institutes, or using a driver for training us, we use we train ourselves on a simulator. So is it helping in any way or not? So that is there. So the main purpose is any improvement in the mechanism of content creation at the institutional level, at the individual level, at the teacher level, at the student level, at any level, at the community level, it can be done, or at the NGO level, it can be done. And it is a cyclic process. It doesn't stop here. again the analysis part comes, design, develop, implement, evaluate, the whole cycle goes on. So this is a I will not take the activities for you. So if we see this particularly, can you see this slide?
Yes, sir. All the 3 points are quite clear.
Okay, all the 3 bullet points are clear for you. So the learning from here is that does the content demand an e-content for that. So for that particular learning purposes, then only we develop e-content. Otherwise, no need of developing. Otherwise, it will be wastage, sheer wastage, because that same concept we can explain in a better way with a local environment, resource from the local environment. So if I have to show a different parts of a pen which I have with me, so I need not to have a virtual reality content on demonstrating a pen, since I have in my pocket. So it is more than sufficient that I need to use a pen to explain what is the different parts of a pen and how to hold a pen and how to write through ink pen and a ball pen also, and how much pressure we give while writing on a ink pen through a ink pen and through a ball pen, that altogether the learning experience. And also the how much pressure we put while writing a chalk through a chalk on a chalkboard and on a marker on a whiteboard. So that also could be easily explained. So whether use of e-content is suitable for the learner or not, so that also can be seen. And whether the use of the content is suitable for the learner in the case the demographic variable, age, knowledge, interviewer level, how much the child is already knowing, and the cognitive skill of the child, how much the cognitive development is, even the physiological development. Many times we pressurize children, preschool children, to learn about writing, though their fine motor skills, finger dexterity has not been developed. So sometimes we put 1-year-old child to write English alphabets and Hindi alphabets and Telugu alphabets, Odia alphabets. It is not their age to write alphabets. So a 2.5, 3-year plus child can easily do that, and in a minute's time do that, because the finger dexterity will be, fine motor skills will be developed by that time. So therefore the physiological development, also the motor development, has to be taken into consideration while designing any activity, showing any activity, integrating any activity. And socio-cultural aspect of the learner. Similarly, I mentioned about the this one, why socio-cultural context. Suppose you will be talking a food item which is alienated to some part of our country. So like I will say, have you in Andhra Pradesh or Odisha, have you eaten thukpa? So thukpa is eaten in Andaman, not in Odisha or Andhra Pradesh. So it is eaten in Ladakh and Tawang. So where Buddhist population mainly are there. So though it is a dish like a soup made out of mutton. Maybe lamb or maybe something that, and they prepare that. So similarly also in J&K they prepare they prepare a different variety of tea. So they have a different name for that. If I introduce which is culturally aligned, not aligned, alienated, so children will not be understanding. So that is why we have to help children to learn from the local and then go from local to global. So that will be the, and therefore demographic, cognitive, physiological, socio-cultural aspect of the learner need to be kept in mind. And will the e-content be suitable using the context? So the infrastructure and resources, suppose you will say that we will design virtual labs for primary school children. They don't have lab in primary classes, because only in secondary, senior secondary classes ICT labs are given, and they have lab experiments there. At primary level, in class 1 and 2, language and mathematics book is one. So there they don't distinguish between language and mathematics children. By the time they reach class upper primary or secondary, so they know that. So therefore, we while designing maybe for Anganwadi children radio programs, like in Andhra Pradesh, while long back when they started introducing some audio content for Andhra Pradesh children for Anganwadis, they introduced Chilaka Palupulu, one series. I don't know how many of you understand Telugu. Where they developed audio content for Anganwadi children and teachers, and they were using. So therefore, and radio sets were supplied in the Anganwadis also. They were listening radio programs, but computers are not there. So therefore, if we are designing any content for Anganwadi, for pre-primary, for primary, for secondary, senior secondary, so we should know that the infrastructure is available. And infrastructure should not be available in principal's chamber. It should be available in classroom. That also needs to be seen. So that we need to know the context to be suitable for using the context from where, and the resources also what they can use. Like we will say that children will use simulators in classrooms, but they should know have sufficient software platforms to use simulators in their classroom. That also we need to know. And suppose it is the multimedia or virtual lab is developed in Unity platform, so they should have a file format, particularly adherence to that, so that they understand that okay, this is the software we can play easily in our case. So if I take you through the next slide, again, while talking about design, we talk about instructional design, strategy design, visual design, and technical design. I have elaborated a lot. I don't think I will be taking it further. Then design, instructional design, there are different sub-instructional steps. Mostly I have already explained, so I don't think it will be required for you. I also discuss some of the presentation formats for different video and other programs. So documentary, role play, feature, talk, even glass screen also teachers use and write on glass screen so that it can be recorded. Many of the teachers during COVID pandemic situation also used a glass wall and wrote on that. And screencast of any content, recording it and showing it to children. Suppose a demonstration of any thing or any content or a word file could be screencasted and showed to the stakeholder. Similarly, Vox Populi, it is mainly used for audio programs where we interview a mass, suppose after cricket match, whether IPL or anything, or after football match or hockey. So we take interview with a lot of people, masses, to know what is their reaction about the match and how they enjoyed the match. And there could be lectures. A magazine is a mixed format. So there could be a small interaction here. There could be a small story. There could be a small drama. There could be some play, a small play. There could be a small simulation there for 1 or 2 minutes. In a 10 minutes program, there could be 2-3 different formats used there. So magazine, necessarily when you see any magazine, Women Era or Competition Success, so you will find there are sections for different learners, for adults, for children, for competitive prepare those people who are preparing for civil services, whether state civil service or IAS, so anything. So similarly, interviews could be a format. So they can take one interview, like we had two mathematics genius from Jharkhand yesterday. 2 days before, Virat and Viraj, two children, they are 7 years of age, but they know the mathematical operations beyond class 8. So they can tell all the concepts, and they have already known it at their level, and without using any paper also they can reproduce the data. So at the time you name an operation, so they give you the result without thinking much. So there could be interview with the teachers, with students, with anything, any expert for explaining the content also. Suppose there is a satellite launched by ISRO, you would like to have an interview with ISRO chairman to explain how much time they took to develop the satellite, what are the nitty-gritties they kept in mind, and how they developed it. And similarly, doco drama. So there could be a documentary or a doco drama integrated with a documentary. So some of the sequences could be presented in a dramatic way. So there are drama and discussion and documentary are also similarly other formats. And also while talking about the graphical design and the user interface, graphical user interface and fonts, layouts are also to be decided during the visual design, so that accordingly how it will look like, like you are developing a H5P content on HTML5. So it would be a multiple choice content. Then how, where the interface to come, where the navigation button has to come, then how to go forward, what are the total layout that could be thought of also. And then design layout, while talking about that, accessibility, usability, adaptability, scalability, sustainability, and interoperability. So these are needed because there are different 5 formats, and the videos also, they have different aspect ratio. Like for HD content, 16:9 as aspect ratio are followed while developing the content, and there could be MP4 file, movie file, AVI file, or WMB file, or OGG open file on open source platforms. So it could be there also. And similarly, during the testing e-content prototype, keeping in view all the features and targets, the testing of these contents could be done, and we can get the feedback from the stakeholders. And now you can see the development stage, conceptualizing the content, producing it, validating it, and the plan for delivery of the content. So that is also taken into consideration. So you can see that, and these have been already explained. And you can see a storyboard structure is also given here. So how the program brief structure and storyboard format is given, where visuals to be there, where audios to be there, where text to be there, where background to be there, and what are the details to be shared with the writer or the designer, the multimedia designer, the title of the program, class, objectives, target group, content coverage, media, which media we are selecting, presentation format, whether it is a drama, discussion, demonstration, interview, or role play, whatever, vox populi, whatever, and the description of the program, storyline also we need to define the purpose of the video, even the production team, who is the script writer, content expert, technical expert, etc. Even we can have some reference materials for this also. So you can see here that develop stage production. So there are 3 stages mainly: production, pre-production work we do. Suppose how many cameras are required, what is the set, suppose it is on environment education, how the set should look like. If it is a typical village set where Kuchipudi dance is happening in Andhra Pradesh, or Bharatanatyam happening in Andhra Pradesh, so how the background should be. So then dance the sequence or scene background should be, so at pre-production level that has to be taken care of. How many cameras to be used, and what are the graphics required, how captions required, if a speaker has to use a auto cue or teleprompter to read the content, then how it is to be shown. So that has to be, and post-production also, after production, how editing can be done in a way so that children learn in a better way. And develop preview stage, I have already explained. I am not explaining. Preview I have detailed explained to you. And metadata profile also I have already explained to you. And how using standard vocabulary abbreviations as listed in the glossary, we can make that. That has to be mentioned. And in the metadata sheet itself, the licensing has also to be specified, because under which license the content has to be shared. That is also very much required. And delivery strategy, I have already explained what are the different steps followed for that. And also implementation, field testing, certification, and compliance with all standards, that is already explained. And the quality parameters for evaluating the content, we need to have is target audience, content, pedagogy consideration, presentation, technical features, administrative consideration also, whether it is doable or not administratively, that has to be seen. And also there are target audience related concerns what are to be given, and content related concerns we need to see. Age group, previous knowledge, social cultural background, that we have already discussed. Learning style also, how many learners are auditory, visual, kinesthetic, they learn from both the audio and video. Language, what is their language level, how much they know. Demographic information, age, gender, and other from the locality, and which category they are from, the tribal area, hilly area, from the coastal area, where emotional development, how much, ability level also, social development. And in content also, some of the things we have to be very careful. The accuracy and the relevance of the content is very critical. Content coverage has to be very systematically, and we have to think and precisely. If it is a program for 5 minutes, 2 minutes, so how much content coverage should be done so that it can easily be taken up. Updated content should be taken, because every year NCERT updates its content, and every year some new concepts are coming. So therefore we need to develop. Even sometimes also maps are given, old maps are given even without seeing the international boundaries properly. Also there could be many issues also, and the questions may be raised in the parliament if we use a wrong map. Like there are many states recently created, like Jammu Kashmir as UT, Ladakh as UT, even Dadra Nagar Haveli and Daman Diu, and they have been merged as one UT. So how it has been shown in the map, that is also very crucial, and it has to be updated in a proper way. Aligned with the curriculum also, and spatial continuity, space related issues are also to be seen there. And temporal continuity we see in geography, particularly space and temporal related continuity needs to be there. And scope and depth, appropriateness to target audience. Level of difficulty also, how it should be very difficult, medium, or difficult, easy. So that also to be decided for children. If it is an introductory content, how much to be then. Again, integration of real world experience. All of us, we know that when it is any experiment is linked to our life, when water bodies are introduced, and houseboat as housing in on water bodies are explained and demonstrated, which is in our real life situation, that will understand in a better way, rather than like a Kerala child can better understand what a houseboat is. A Srinagar child can better understand a houseboat, what a houseboat is, rather than a child from Uttarakhand or from maybe Meghalaya, Mizoram, Nagaland, which are hilly areas and districts also. But Srinagar is a particularly valley, and Dal Lake is having many houseboats for transportation, for fishing, for people are staying there also, for tourism also they use. So therefore the local context should also be there. And in case of my state like Odisha and Andhra Pradesh, starting while talking about domesticated animals to pre-primary, primary kids, we should not start from yak or from kangaroo, rather start from cow, goat, which is easily available there. And similarly, in case of plants also, the plants which are so seen in high hills should not be to start with introduced. The local plants should be introduced, then slowly they can go to the other region plants. And also there are some pedagogical consideration also, though I have already mentioned, but in nutshell I must mention that the objectives should be precisely written, and methods of delivery of the content should be selected. Media selection of the content should be carefully done. Why media selection? I said because like if we are selecting a plant to be introduced in the class, we need not to have a multimedia on plant. Unless and until we show something internally happening in a plant, like photosynthesis, how foods are prepared by plants, that we cannot see on our naked eyes. So media selection is very crucial. Presentation format free from biases. Our biases should not be imposed on children, like scientific temper and constitutional values should be the primacy, not that children should be imposed blind beliefs on them. So contextual to local needs, that should be done. Scope of interaction should be more, so it should not be one-sided content. And use of relevant images, examples, illustrations should be done. And support continuous learning, so that in between some questions could be raised, under which they will also rethink and reimagine and work on those areas later on also. Multiple modes of assessment needs to be embedded into the content itself, including a mind map could be used for assessment as well as introducing the topic. And learner engagement should be the primacy, and because ultimately the switch is in their hands. And skill development, their skill and competency development is our major role, because the policy emphasizes on skill development and holistic development. Last not least on is on the presentation. The presentation should be aesthetically designed. The literary and the social values should be their motivation level in the presentation should be brought in. Innovative and creative presentations should be there with a very good presenter. It could be starting from a riddle or something else, from a game also it could start. And the universal design of learning should be taken into consideration. Like there are many learners who cannot see, who cannot hear, who cannot speak. So for them also we should have something in our content. So that is why UDL principles should be. And I know Satya Sai's Vidya Vahini is very engrossed as far as these issues are concerned while developing the content. And the font size should be visible also, and the effect should not be so jari that they cannot understand. The effect should be good and having good experience. Coherence in media elements, audio, video, multimedia, they should have a better coherence. Virtual labs, chunking and organization should be done in a way that it engages the content. So the chunks should be in that way. Scope for personalization needs to be there, so that interactivity is high, and inherent interactivity in the program should be inbuilt. Suitability to the learners with special needs, I have already mentioned about universal design of learning. And addressing gender equity is a very key. So we should not undermine any gender while presenting the content. And multiculturalism in India. India is a mini world culturally also, linguistically, demographically, geographically, and culturally. So we should take into consideration. Thank you very much for your patient hearing. So over to the organizers. If any questions, comments, suggestions, we can take up and to stop with. I'm through. Thank you. And this presentation I'll be mailing you and sharing on WhatsApp so that you can read, and you can also get back to me if you have any questions later on.
Dr. Behera, Keshava Mishra has posted some questions that came while you were speaking on your chat. If you don't mind, could you please look at it, sir?
You are on mute, sir.
Sir, aap mute hai.
I have seen the question. Can you please provide a little more details about testing or evaluation criteria? Actually, while I have towards the last 2 slides I mentioned though, because while testing any program, so first of all, when we analyze the learner, that the learner requirement is this, the learner age group is this, the content to be designed at a particular level is this. So that has to be kept in the criteria also. So in that particular case, so the content which we have selected, whether it is understandable by the learner or not, that is also very key. So so that we pitch the content at that particular level. And the content selection is one, and the other one is the presentation part, the technical and academic presentation part. It should be interesting for the child. And also similarly, the language should be simple and easily understandable. Otherwise, the child will not be able to understand. So suppose there are some children who are from Gajapati or Gunpur or Koraput or Paralakhemundi district bordering to Andhra Pradesh. They more understand the neighboring villages particularly. So they better understand, even in Odisha, they better understand Telugu rather than Odia. So in that case, while teaching those children, we should be very careful that Odia content deliberately we should not show them so that they fail, because it is a school where the children better understand in a particular language. Even the difficulty of language is also key, because we should not use the content for Anganwadi children equivalent to upper primary grade, middle grade children. So therefore, that has to be very, it has to be very clear. And as far as the assessment is concerned, we can follow various, like we can develop some rubrics. So it could be digital rubrics or physical rubrics. And the rubric criterion and norm reference test, we have to be very careful. And there could be some objective type questions, some subjective type questions also there. And we can have some interviews of teachers, parents, principals, on their views on the content also, though we are designing it for children, because they are the stakeholder who are dealing on daily basis with the children. They know what is their developmental task and from which background they are coming. So if we take feedback from them while designing the content, the content will have more appealing rather than it will be having difficulty levels. So both subjective and objective type kind of evaluation tool needs to be developed. While developing objective tools, we could use a 3-point scale or 5-point scale or 7-point scale depending on the requirements also. And there could be multiple choice, alternate choice, even there could be a multiple choice with more answers which is true, or more correct answers also, and more less incorrect answers. Even all the 4 multiple choices could be correct also in that particular sense, because there could be more characteristics also of the content. And similarly, there could be an interview schedule designed for the teachers and school heads and parents to know their feedback. Even we can have a focus group discussion with the teachers in a team, and if possible in a team we can discuss with children also what they like, what presentation format they like, why, how they like, why they like. So like children learn toys, games, puppets, mopeds. These characters are very close to their, or anything electric vehicle, or any game, computer game, or any toy developed by the like Chinnapatnam toys in Karnataka. They are very popular. So similarly in Andhra Pradesh also there are very popular toys. So we, while designing any educational content for children, if we bring in these components, and during assessment also, the content coverage, the factualness of the content, and the language of the content, presentation format of the content, technical aspect, particularly audio, video, multimedia and their technical quality, even the color contrast and the font size of the text is also very crucial. We have to select in a very careful manner, and so on. And I also cited an example of a map. So many a times we commit mistakes with the India map and all. So therefore we have those challenges. I think on evaluation criteria, it must be clear to all of you. So these could be the criteria, and there could be different tools for evaluation also. So I have mentioned both. And while evaluating, like in a small pilot, we need not to go for an experimental study for a big way. That if it is a 1 or 2 hour or a half a day experiment with children, to half a day work with them and take them through the whole series content and get their feedback. So it can also be done. It could be a longitudinal study also, that suppose for class 1 to 5 we have developed the content. So in class 1 what they learned, when they went to the class 2, when how they learned, until class 5 how they learned, and whether they were sustained in the system or they dropped out, whether the teaching, learning and assessment used with these contents were interesting for them or not. So that also can be taken care of. There is another question also. If I go, some of our NCERT contents are available under CC by SA, and can those content be brought under CC by as it is in Diksha? Actually, we can bring in, but main thing is in government, when we develop content with the taxpayers' money, and again we restrict the licensing, that they should again take permission from us, and also they cannot make a commercial use of these contents, and they should only make free. So usually we don't do that, because this is our experience from Diksha portal. Earlier no states were there together on Diksha. So when Diksha started, only central agencies were there. Now 35 states are providing content on Diksha, and many a times when states they write a mail to NCERT to get permission, copyright permission, sometimes it takes 6 months. So even many states, around 28 states, they have taken copyright for publishing NCERT textbooks. It takes months together to take copyrights. When we share a content under a particular license which is free, and they need not to come back to the content creator again. So from day one, they stitch their own course design and lesson plan and learning design, teaching design, and they start the course. So they need not to take permission from NCERT, permission from CBSE. That is our main concern. But it can be done. So like our books, NCERT textbooks are printed also and shared free in 3 different formats: PDF, flipbook, and EPUBs. And these contents are shared under CC by NC&D, non-commercial, non-derivative. Because books we are printing, and there are nearly 6 crore books NCERT prints every year. And across the country, 60 crore, more than 60 crore books are printed in the country by all the states and all. So in that case, all the states are also putting QR codes on their textbooks. So why should we restrict the copyright so that the states again and again take permission from us, again and again write to us? It will take months by the time child will pass out from the system. So that is our main concern. Forgive me if we are doing anything wrong, but it is possible. We can bring in that also. So licenses, particularly we decide when if there are no much this one commercial angle involved into it, and if the content is designed from the public money. So we go for CC by SA license only. Yeah, but definitely those can be brought under CC by as it is on Diksha also. But the content on ePathshala, particularly audios, videos, interactives, they are shared under CC by SA license by NCERT, and the ebooks are shared under CC by NC&D, non-commercial, non-derivative. Dr. Chandra wants to know how to use technology to assess and identify the training needs of teachers within and across geographical locations. Dr. Chandraji, NCERT has developed a mobile app popularly known as Pindix. We are performance indicators for teachers at elementary level, and it is a self-assessment tool for the teachers. They can come to that app, download that app, they can assess themselves, and the assessment can be done. Because the time state government says we will assess the teachers, all teacher associations, they will be against the states and the central government. So therefore it could be a self-assessment by the teachers, and they can say that okay, this is my strength, this is my weakness. Based on their strength and weakness, the state government, district administration, and NCERT, we can plan continuous capacity building program for them, and we have been doing that very effectively. And Pindix app has been, now we are revising it, that app, and we are taking it to secondary, senior secondary level also. The work is going on. Very soon it will be coming. So you can later on use that also. And definitely any other state can develop their own app for or portal for testing teachers for their training, because we need to know their training needs. And also many a times, though it is not a critical testing, but we take views of teachers, what is their strength, and like cyber safety and security. Many of our teachers are not trained. So we send letters to different and tools to different stakeholders, how far they know the cyber safety and security related issues. So teachers also show their interest to organize training. We have been organizing such training in collaboration with the Ministry of Information, Ministry of Electronics and IT, particularly CDAC Hyderabad. In collaboration with CDAC Hyderabad, we are organizing such trainings, and we also have assessment, such assessment, not so rigorous, but some generic suggestion we take while introducing any training. And the Nishtha training also, when started, it was started based on the achievement survey 2017, which showed that what is the performance level of children in different grades across the country. So based on that, we designed the Nishtha training, elementary, secondary, foundational literacy and numeracy. Now we are in the process of launching a couple of more Nishtha training for different purposes. A robust process for developing e-content. Happy to hear about IDM. So thank you. I don't think I have to comment on Subramaniamji's comment. So thank you, Subramaniamji Garu. Thank you. Any other?
Well, Dr. Behera, this has been so helpful. My God, this is the best 1 hour you have spent this week, because you have helped a lot of us to get a lot of clarity. And it really is so much easier to hear you speak and explain rather than to exchange a million emails. And you know, your email box is already full. एक box से तो हमेशा bounce हो जाता है क्योंकि आपका इतना email आता है. So really appreciate your time and your patience in explaining. And what we are going to do is, this presentation is on YouTube. We will circulate it to all our different teams so that they can all listen and understand. And I think it answers a lot of our questions and doubts. Also, it reassures us and validates that we are on the right track, not only for the work we are currently doing for Diksha, but the work that we are doing very quietly for inclusive education right now. And we are working with global experts. We are following the project management. We are following the universal design of learning. We are making sure that different kinds of learners are fully included. And the one thing I can say with a lot of humility, but absolute faith, because of the power that is right behind me, that the Sri Sathya Sai Vidya Vahini's inclusive education program will be like something the world has never seen before. Our scale and scope is 360 degrees, and we are working with leading world authorities to create the best digital assets. And in that connection, we are hoping to have you personally, physically visit us in Prashanti Nilayam, sir. Anytime
Sure.
you're ready, we are ready, but I will be extending an invitation on behalf of our parent body, the Sri Sathya Sai Central Trust, to you, and we hope you will come and oblige us.
Thank you.
It's been a very constructive session. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. Very grateful, sir.
Thank you very much, Karuna Didi, for giving me the opportunity. And I am indebted due to the blessings of Sri Sai Baba, Sathya Sai Baba. So we could have this interaction possible. I hope my interaction will help the workshop participants to design the content in a better manner. I hope this is beginning, not end. We can have many such interactions.
Oh, yes, please. Now we have recorded this, so you're on record saying it. Yes, sir. Noted, duly noted, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Namaste. Namaskar.
Namaste. Can I log out? Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Just a minute. Our participants want to say namaskar to you and just say hello to you. So we are switching on the camera that side. Just a minute.